Eccoci qua, buonasera a tutti, io sono Antonio di The Garage Cocktail. Benvenuti per un altro episodio di The Garage Meets. Oggi abbiamo un ospite d'eccellenza nel mondo del giornalismo, del mondo del bartending, in questo caso in Hamish Smith, direttamente da 50 Best Bars e Drinks International e Class Magazine. Attendiamo che Facebook appunto comunichi ai nostri seguaci e chi aveva piacere di seguire questa diretta di poterlo fare. Io nel frattempo mi permetto di aggiustare un attimino, eccomi qua, ok, in modo tale che ok, io direi che possiamo invitare Hamish che sta aspettando. Allora, un secondo solo che allora vediamo un attimino. Allora, eccoci, ci abbiamo, perfetto. Aggiungi. Il bello della tecnologia, ragazzi. Come dicevano alcuni presentatori più o meno famosi. Un secondo solo. Ed eccoci qua. Spero che voi state bene. Colgo l'occasione per dirvi che tutte le nostre dirette. Good evening, sir.
Hey Antonio, how's it going?
Not too bad at all. And yourself?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. I'm just going to adjust this. Okay, fantastic. Perfect. Okay. So, first of all, thank you very much for accepting my invitation. I've been doing this for a little while now, trying to sort of spread the love that we have for our trade in a very, very difficult time that we're going through at the moment. I've done this sort of thing with a lot of big names in our trade, such as Dale DeGroff, David Wondrich, Mr. Dorelli, Mr. Calabrese, and the list goes on. And I was happy, obviously, to be able to add your name to the list as well.
Thank you. No, what company as well? Thank you.
Sorry?
What company to be?
Yeah,
to be with?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to give you a bit of an intro, and then we'll get going with some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Excellent.
Can you hear me okay?
Sorry?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, a grand, absolutely. Ok. Quindi ragazzi, abbiamo l'onore appunto di scambiare due chiacchiere con Hamish Smith, editore della sezione bar di Drinks International. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. E fa parte della selezione di 50 Best Bars. Quindi, Hamish, welcome. You are editor of Class Magazine.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. You are editor for the bar section of Drinks International.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And you are you select for EMEA. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, EMEA.
Yeah.
So I was the European chair for the world's 50 best bars, which is a posh name for just saying that I choose the voters. I'm now UK and Ireland chair. So.
Ok, fantastico. Quindi, ciao Mario, quindi siamo veramente onorati di poter scambiare due chiacchiere con lui quest'oggi. So, first of all, how are you and what's the current situation in the UK?
So I'm well, thanks. We're currently in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been since Christmas, really. So this is our third lockdown, so we're getting quite used to it here. We're still allowed out for exercise and things like that for a few hours outdoors perhaps, but you're only supposed to go out once, so it's tough. Of course, that means the bars are closed, and they have been pretty much since mid-December. We've had a tier system in the UK, so for much of autumn and winter across the country, bars were in different levels, and therefore some were open and some not. But pretty much across the board now, bars have been closed for a good month.
Ok, quindi chiedevo giustamente a Hamish come stava e com'era l'attuale situazione adesso in Inghilterra. In Inghilterra hanno svariati livelli, possono uscire di casa soltanto alcune ore della giornata, appunto, per fare un po' di esercizio fisico, e sicuramente una situazione molto, molto delicata. Well, fingers crossed we'll come out of this sooner rather than later, stronger, by all means. Okay, so I'm going to get cracking with some questions. First question I wanted to ask you, what, as the saying goes, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did you have a passion for bartending or journalism first?
Well, first of all, it was journalism.
Okay.
And actually, first of all, it was nothing really. I didn't, I was a drinker for sure. But I came to journalism slightly later in life. I was probably 26, 27. And I decided that, hey, I need to do something with my life. So I trained classically. You got a qualification in journalism, which took a year. So learned, you know, all about media law and the Constitution, shorthand, which of course I don't really use very much these days. But yeah, so I came at it from a journalist point of view. I thought back then I was probably going to end up on a newspaper, doing proper news. And funnily enough, I feel like I am doing that right now. But things have got very serious. But so I think about soon after qualifying, I did some work experience at a newspaper and realized that it was very tough. So I had a second thought about that.
Ok, excellent. Quindi ho chiesto ad Hamish che cosa ha scaturato questa sua passione, se prima è stata la passione per il giornalismo, a differenza del mondo dei cocktail bar. Lui ci ha spiegato che giustamente è sempre stato un bevitore, dopodiché è arrivato al punto di avere 26-27 anni, ha fatto un'esperienza lavorativa appunto all'interno di un giornale. Inizialmente pensava che sarebbe finito su una delle testate giornalistiche inglesi, e piano piano è stata sviluppata questa sua passione appunto del mixology. Fantastic stuff. So for those that don't know, what does your job role involve? You know, obviously.
So my day, sorry, yeah. So my day job, I'm probably better known for the world's 50 best bars. You know, I was certainly, you know, one of the cogs in that machine when it really became big and popular around the world. So I'm certainly best known for that. But my day-to-day has never been the world's 50 best bars. My day-to-day has always been journalism. So firstly, I was on Drinks International. So as a news writer, writing news about the industry. And then from 2016, editor of Class.
Okay. Fantastic. Dice, ho chiesto ad Hamish in che maniera si svolge il suo lavoro, e lui ci sta spiegando appunto il fatto che sicuramente è molto più conosciuto per 50 Best Bars, che però gli occupa soltanto una parte del tempo, a differenza del suo lavoro diurno, che principalmente iniziò appunto con Drinks International, quindi si occupa di scrivere articoli di tutto quello che concerne il mondo della miscelazione internazionale, e dal 2016 si occupa anche di Class Magazine. Fantastic. Okay, so you have done no bartending work at all in your sort of life?
Not strictly true. I did work in a pub.
Okay.
Very briefly. But yeah, no, I was always on the other side of the bar. So just to continue what I was saying, I came at it from a journalist point of view. I then ended up, I decided I want to work in food journalism.
Okay.
Food and drinks, obviously, you know, are best friends.
Yeah.
So part of an overarching industry. And I got offered a job, or certainly offered an interview at Drinks International at a time when I was looking to pursue food journalism. So I thought, well, I like whiskey, I like wine. Didn't know much about cocktails at that stage, I have to say, or what the industry was. I had no idea, you know, particularly about the cocktail bar industry in the community. But yeah, I came in it that way.
Chiedevo a Hamish se aveva mai lavorato in un locale in qualsiasi momento della sua vita. Lui appunto ci sta raccontando che per un periodo ha lavorato in un pub in Inghilterra, però diciamo che è stata un'esperienza breve. La maggior parte del suo avvicinamento appunto al mondo della miscelazione è stato appunto tramite il giornalismo. Ovviamente è sempre stato un grande appassionato sia di whisky che di vino, e questa cosa è stata molto naturale, insomma, da un suo punto di vista. Excellent. Certainly, I think you know how obviously a lot of things, you know, obviously trying to put this, how we get as bartenders and bars, we get so much exposure these days, you know, thanks to Drinks International, Fast Magazine, and obviously the aid of social media. Absolutely. Okay, so a little bit about 50 Best. It has grown in a massive way. I've been following probably almost since day one, because I've always been interested in what is going on, obviously, outside of Italy. Because I think you can often, you know, pick up trends and, you know, learn from others by all means. Did you ever think that it would grow so much?
Probably not at the beginning, no. So I took over as editor in 2013, and it was quite young when I took it over. I wouldn't say it was global. It was global in its outlook, global in the way the voting worked, but I don't think it was well known globally. So at that stage, I knew we had something. I knew people were interested, and I knew the mechanism worked. Ranking, it's something that people, you know, and eventually consumers can understand. It's just, it has to be clear. So I'll let you translate.
Stavo chiedendo appunto alcune domande sui 50 Best Bars. Sicuramente è bellissimo il fatto che sia cresciuto in una maniera così esponenziale negli ultimi anni. Devo essere sincero, io non proprio sin dall'inizio, ma lo seguo da svariati anni, perché comunque è sempre molto bello capire e vedere cosa fanno altri locali anche in altre zone del mondo, quali sono i trend, le mode da seguire sicuramente. Hamish ci sta spiegando che non è all'inizio non pensavano che sarebbe cresciuto in una maniera così esponenziale, sapeva sin dall'inizio che avevano qualcosa che avrebbe funzionato nel futuro, però sicuramente non si sarebbero mai aspettati questo successo, insomma. Okay.
Yeah. So we knew it had something. We knew it worked, certainly within the elite community who are voting in it and who are paying attention to the results. But probably between 2013 and 2017, that was kind of my period as editor. The job was to travel the world, tell people about it, and we were trying to go to as many new markets as possible. So it was all about spreading the gospel.
Okay. Inizialmente ci sta spiegando Hamish dal 2013 al 2017 che comunque essendo poco conosciuti i Best, il loro compito era comunque di spargere la voce, di cercare di creare dell'interesse anche su alcuni mercati un po' più nuovi per comunque fare sapere alla gente che esisteva questa classifica. What a tough job.
No, it's good. It was good. It was a good few years, I can tell you. Unfortunately, the company I work for sold it in early 2017. Unfortunate for me, not for 50 Best, not for the global community, because it's grown massively since then. You know, it was a global brand when we had it, but it was only just starting to touch consumers. And this is absolutely critical. You know, it's one of the few things we do as an industry that's touched consumers and therefore has grown the understanding of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Sì, sicuramente ci sta spiegando Hamish che in quel periodo dove comunque hanno cercato di spargere la voce appunto di 50 Best Bars, non si immaginavano il successo che ha avuto in tutto questo tempo ad arrivare fino al consumatore finale, perché sicuramente penso che molti di noi oggi come oggi, se capitiamo nelle vicinanze di 50 Best, la curiosità è sempre molta. I think, as you said, you know, now it's gotten to consumers. I mean, I'm obviously in the trade, so I always try to, if I can, when I go away, obviously for pleasure, I try and, you know, stick a 50 Best in there somewhere, you know, because of what 50 Best is, you know, because of the bars.
Hopefully, you know, it's a sign of quality. In the same way that if you go to a Michelin star restaurant, you've got a pretty good idea you're going to be having good food, and I think that's what it represents in our industry.
Quello che ci sta dicendo Hamish è sicuramente il fatto che comunque 50 Best è sinonimo di qualità. È come quando andiamo magari in un ristorante stellato Michelin, sappiamo cosa andiamo incontro, e sicuramente è sinonimo di qualità. Speaking of this, Hamish, the level of the bars, I've been to a few. The level of the bars that you have in 50 Best, obviously not just the top 50, but all of them up to 100, is really, really high. You know, the standards of quality is massive. The quality of the craftsmanship, you know, it really is amazing. What do you look for in a 50 Best bar?
So, this would be a personal answer, because obviously the way that 50 Best, way that voting works, is that it's every professional's choice. It's a subjective thing. We choose the right people that we think are knowledgeable, and then they make their decision based on their professional experience. I am a voter, so as a chair, you're automatically a voter. So my take on that would be, number one is hospitality. It has to have top-notch service, and the atmosphere has to be right. The basics, you know, music being at the right level, the temperature, just the basic things that make a difference. That almost goes without saying. The drinks have to be a very high level, and I think they have to be innovative. I think also the concept has to be probably something different. It has to be something new that's pushing the industry forward. I don't think it's any good anymore just to roll out another speakeasy and say, but my one is better than Nightjar. Well, Nightjar was doing it 10 years before, you know. So I think it's got to improve and advance the industry. That's really important. So those would be the 3 or 4 major thrusts.
Okay. Assolutamente. E chiedevo a Hamish, lui essendo comunque, lui si occupa della selezione di coloro che a loro volta votano i 50 Best, però anche lui ha diritto appunto ad un voto. Che cosa si cerca quando si vuole inserire un locale nella classifica di 50 Best? E ci sta spiegando che queste sono opinioni sue personali, ha specificato dire, sicuramente l'ospitalità. Il servizio deve essere di altissimo livello, la musica al giusto volume, a differenza del servizio in generale, il modo in cui ci teniamo sicuramente, la carta cocktail sicuramente deve essere di alto livello, concept sicuramente magari non necessariamente copiata anche da altri locali, no, certo. Sono tutte cose che sicuramente fanno dei tanti locali che ci sono all'interno della lista 50 Best, li rendono sicuramente molto speciali. Fantastic. Well, I must admit, I look forward to traveling again and visiting some of the bars you have on that fantastic list, I must admit.
Indeed, yeah, well, me too. Normally I get to visit about 5 or 10 new ones per year, and obviously, well, 2020, I think no one's counting 2020.
Okay, so in an ideal world, where would you transport yourself right now? Which bar would you transport yourself right now, given the UK weather as well?
Well, so if it globally, then I can go anywhere. It would have to be well, later in the spring. I would love to go to the court in Rome, Matteo Zed's new place, which I've been promised. Yeah, it looks fantastic, but only when it's warmer. I want to be able to sit out there in the evening. But right now, it would probably be to Havana, somewhere like that, and not necessarily the most famous bars, but any little outdoor venue with good music and a decent daiquiri. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm a fan. I was lucky enough to visit a few years ago, and the hospitality they have there, and the culture is really along with the weather and the food and the drinks, like you mentioned, it's definitely really, really nice. Absolutely.
Yeah. Somewhere tropical anyway. Especially.
Absolutely. Quindi chiedevo ad Hamish se c'era, lui solitamente visita dai 5-10 locali nuovi tutti gli anni che vengono inseriti nella lista di best. Se si potesse teletrasportare in qualsiasi luogo nel mondo, dove voleva andare, appunto. Ha detto che nella primavera vorrebbe venire in Italia, vorrebbe visitare The Court di Matteo Zed a Roma, se no in qualsiasi altro posto magari sarebbe bello uno dei locali a Cuba, non necessariamente uno dei più famosi, ma sicuramente per il tempo, per il clima e per la cultura, per l'aria che si respira, che è molto molto piacevoli da quelle parti. So Hamish, do you have any future projects? I mean, you're obviously keeping yourself very busy enough as it is, but is there anything in the bag that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so it's not brand new, but we launched Bar World 100 a year and a half ago now, so we're on our second list. Bar World 100 is a Drinks International magazine, and well, not even a website yet, it's just a magazine.
Okay.
But it's available online for a digital magazine, and it's a list of the 100 most influential people in the industry.
Okay, yeah.
So nothing to do with bars, just the people that work in our industry. So that's been really interesting putting that together. So we see a bright future for that. But right now I am working on a new website, so classbarmag.com.
Okay.
Amazingly, Class was always just a print title. It never had an actual website, or at least an editorial website. So I'm busy populating that right now.
Fantastic. Ci sta spiegando, ho chiesto a Hamish se avesse dei nuovi progetti, c'era qualcosa che voleva condividere con noi. Ce n'ha menzionato uno non proprio nuovissimo, di circa un anno e mezzo fa, che si chiama Drinks 100, che sono le 100 persone, le più grandi influencer del mondo della mixology, del bar. Quindi non si parla di locali in sé per sé, ma si parla delle persone. Alcune abbiamo avuto la fortuna con cui abbiamo fatto delle chiacchierate anche in passato, quindi sicuramente diamo un pochino di luce in più a chi questo mondo in qualche maniera l'ha reso speciale insieme alle loro opere, ai loro pubblicati. E insieme a questo sta creando un nuovo sito che comunque sta tuttora sviluppando. Stranamente, come diceva Class, una volta era una rivista fisica, a differenza di adesso che è praticamente digitale. Excellent. So, do you have any advice for anybody that would like to do this jump and go into journalism, especially in the hospitality world?
Yeah. Well, firstly, it's a fantastic career. I feel very, very lucky. My colleague and I used to say to each other, don't ever complain. This is brilliant. We get to drink, go to the best bars, have some really good food, and we get to do that and get paid for it. So you'll never find me complaining. So what I would say, the advice would be, if you do want to be a journalist in hospitality, is take whatever country you're in, take the journalist's qualification.
Yeah.
It will stand you in good stead. These things, the basic skills are really important, and you know that they'll, throughout your life as a journalist, you'll need them.
Yeah, absolutely. Ho chiesto a Hamish se aveva dei consigli, cioè, per qualcuno di noi o di voi che magari avete la volontà di approcciare il mondo del giornalismo nel discorso appunto hospitality. E lui giustamente ci sta spiegando, in qualsiasi paese in cui vi trovate, sicuramente dovete ottenere delle qualifiche sul giornalismo stesso, perché comunque le basi sono veramente fondamentali. Come spiega lui, tende a non lamentarsi mai, perché comunque ha la fortuna di girare i migliori cocktail bar al mondo, bere alcuni dei migliori cocktail al mondo, e lo pagano anche. Quindi sicuramente è un lavoro molto molto bello, non nego un pochino di invidia, assolutamente. I must admit, like I mentioned before, social media and social tenders, as sometimes they're referred to, has helped a lot when it comes to obviously being able to sell oneself and being able to show what bars and restaurants do these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's become a very important part of the industry. You know, a lot of the most successful bartenders have their own brand. Mm-hmm. It's not something I've ever been very successful at, building my personal brand. I prefer to build other brands, but certainly it's something that I need to do more of, because it's, communication, accurate communication, and promotion of what we do, the celebration of what we do, is critical, because it's all about getting through to the consumer and explaining to them why what we do is so special.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mi sono permesso di esprimere un pensiero sul fatto dal punto di vista social del nostro lavoro, che sicuramente è molto molto importante. Oggi come oggi abbiamo la possibilità di avere delle vetrine non indifferenti per promuovere il nostro lavoro, il lavoro dei locali e dei ristoranti e cocktail bar dove lavoriamo, assolutamente. Giustamente Hamish si sta dicendo che è critico per poter appunto crearsi una vetrina per poter promuovere noi stessi e promuovere il nostro lavoro. So we have a question. I missed the beginning. Okay, I'm going to ask your opinion on this. Our friend Charlotte is asking a question which states, I missed the beginning. Did you mention any tips for competitions? We didn't talk about competition. Do you have any tips for anybody entering competition?
Yes, I have a few. I've judged a few competitions. Firstly, don't stray too far from classics. Mm-hmm. So many of the competitions that I've seen win, the drinks are often loosely based around classics, with just some clever spins, so you might spin it towards the brand or the culture of the brand or whatever, but just remember those fundamentals. I think that's really important. There's a reason why the classics work. So that's number one. And the number two is, if you want to win and you want to be sure that you stand a good chance of winning, avoid ingredients, I think, like chili, because it's very, very easy to lose a competition through just slightly putting too much chili in. I've seen 2 or 3 over my time where people have just been bombed out because of that.
Yeah, I must admit, chili's not for everybody. I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, sure. And when I say chili, I've seen people use mushroom. I've seen people use garlic. in cocktails, like random things. I just think you might impress one judge, but you're unlikely to impress them all. So try to be a bit safe, I would say.
Like you rightly said, classics are called classics for a reason. You know, if they've been around for such a long time, but you know, there must be a reason for that. Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah, and you know, don't play safe to the point where you don't stand out, but try and be clever in other ways. Don't try and reinvent the wheel.
Assolutamente, assolutamente. Quindi una nostra amica Charlotte ha chiesto a Hamish se aveva dei consigli per alcune gare di cocktail, alcune cocktail competition. I suoi consigli sono due, fondamentalmente. Uno, non allontanatevi troppo da quelli che sono le ricette classiche. Sicuramente un twist ci può stare se è ben costruito, è ben pensato, ma di non stravolgere le ricette, per il semplice motivo che ovviamente i classici sono classici per un motivo ben preciso, hanno comunque mantenuto il test del tempo, come si suol dire. Un altro consiglio che ci sta dando Hamish è di non utilizzare ingredienti troppo particolari, tipo per esempio il peperoncino, che sicuramente non è per tutti, sono ingredienti facilmente dove si può facilmente sbagliare. Ci sta spiegando appunto che ha visto alcune gare dove alcuni cocktail incorporavano magari funghi a differenza dell'aglio, interessanti, perché no? Però mi raccomando di non allontanarvi troppo da quello che è anche la replicabilità. I think the possibility to replicate the cocktails that we've seen in a lot of competitions, it's not always that simple, you know?
Yes, yeah, indeed. The other thing I would say is if you work in a bar, try out that drink. You know, if it's one that you're preparing ahead, if you're preparing a recipe ahead, try it out, even if it's just with the regulars or whatever, or just with your own employees or your colleagues. But don't just, you know, I've seen some bartenders that have just kind of got an idea in their head and they make it for the first time on that day. And it's not surprising when it's a disaster.
No, I must admit, I've not done many competitions myself, but I used to, you know, test it on a regulars, test it myself, get so many opinions, and sometimes you actually end up overdoing it, I must admit. But yeah, definitely. Ci sta spiegando Hamish sicuramente che un altro consiglio che ci può dare è testate i cocktail delle vostre competition con i vostri clienti fissi, con i vostri colleghi, con i vostri conoscenti, per avere comunque delle opinioni. Obviously, you know, constructive criticism is always very, very useful, you know. Okay, so another question: homemade or not homemade in competitions?
It depends what it is. So we're talking about like a shrub or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Syrups, pulps.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the competition. You know, if it's something like Bacardi Legacy, you know, they're looking for a drink that bartenders around the world can recreate. So in that case, you might go for an off-the-shelf or something that's simple to create. You know, a 1, 2, 3-step process. But it depends if you're doing most imaginative bartender or something like that, something where they're looking to see skill and technique and processes, then, you know, then go for it.
Yeah, I think it's very important to, you know, to keep the competition that you're obviously competing in mind, like you rightly said. Abbiamo chiesto a Hamish se aveva delle opinioni sui prodotti homemade all'interno delle competition. Dipende un pochino dalla tipologia di competition che di quale stiamo parlando, per il semplice motivo che ovviamente ci sono alcune competition tipo The Most Imaginative Bartender, dove è richiesto di vedere alcune tecniche anche più avanzate, a differenza magari della Bacardi Legacy, dove Bacardi stesso volere dare la possibilità al cocktail vincitore di poter essere applicato in giro per il mondo. This is an interesting one. This is something that came up with another fella that I did an interview with. Have you ever downgraded people for poor English skills?
No, I haven't. I know that I've certainly been in competitions where if the brand manager or brand ambassador is in on the panel and they're looking for someone that's going to work internationally for the brand, they might consider it an important skill.
Okay.
Personally, I don't feel comfortable doing that. As long as that person makes an attempt. So as long as they try, that's enough for me, particularly as someone that doesn't speak very good, well, anything but English really. So no, I certainly haven't downgraded anyone, but I certainly know of judges that have.
Okay, which is very nice of you, I must admit. I think something that's come up before in we were talking about just before the live. Unfortunately, I think there are countries that do not invest enough time in learning a foreign language, such as obviously English. Italy, unfortunately, is one of those countries. I was lucky enough to study in the UK, so I was fortunate enough to pick it up at an early age. But I've seen too many times, maybe, people that have some really high-end jobs as well, not speaking in the best way possible, or you know, having a great knowledge of the foreign language.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. Look, every country has a different level of English. You know, all I would say is try. No matter how bad your English is, if you're in a competition, the likelihood is if it's an international competition, if you're at a finals, they will expect you to present your cocktail in English. You know, learn it, try. I can't imagine any judges that are going to look down at you for trying, or score you down for trying. And the most important weapon at your disposal is always smile.
Absolutely.
Smile. You know, win their hearts.
Yeah, it's international. Absolutely. Chiedevo a Hamish se aveva mai penalizzato in qualche maniera in qualche gara di cocktail dove è stato giudice per la mancanza della lingua. Lui dice: io personalmente no, penso che se mi ritrovo davanti una persona che comunque mi dimostra di aver voglia di provarci e di sorridere sempre, assolutamente no. Ci sono sicuramente alcuni brand ambassador o personaggi magari del settore dove l'eventuale vincitore di questa gara potrebbe andare appunto a lavorare per l'azienda e quindi rappresentare l'azienda in giro per il mondo, che questa cosa la prendono un pochino. Quindi mi raccomando ragazzi, chi ha la possibilità, le lingue sono imperative nel nostro lavoro. Non sono il primo, non sarò l'ultimo a dirlo, assolutamente, l'inglese in primis. Okay, Hamish, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a father, so you have your father's chores to look out for. Indeed, thank you very much. No, absolute pleasure to be on and say hi to everyone in Italy for me. Fantastic. Like I mentioned before, whenever you come over, if you come over around the central Italy, we don't have many 50 best bars here, but who knows? There might be something for the future. I hope so. Indeed, I will, and hopefully later this year or early next year I'll be in Italy. Fantastic. It'd be great to see you. Approfitto per dire a tutti quanti che l'intervista con Hamish sarà disponibile sul nostro canale YouTube. I will take the moment to say that this interview will be on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. My next guest next week is a Spanish fella in the name of David Rios. Yeah. Right. Very exciting. There's some big names. Yeah. Fantastic. La settimana prossima avremo come ospite David Rios, quindi ringrazio ancora Hamish. Hamish, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Cheers. And best of luck for the future. Thank you. Bye bye. Cheers. Ragazzi, grazie ancora per averci seguito. Spero che vi siate divertiti in questa diretta. Noi continueremo con le nostre dirette YouTube, per qualsiasi cosa non esitate a contattarci. Buona serata a tutti, ciao!